write music for it. So it would be...
Okay, here we go. Good afternoon and welcome to Folk and Acoustic Music. My name is Michael Stock, here every Sunday afternoon on Public Radio, WLRN. Opening up the program, Mark Leggett from his new solo guitar album called Folktown, and we listen to the tune Goldsboro Getaway. I'll be playing a lot of music today, some old music. Remind you that the Public Storyteller can be heard at our on your favorite podcast app. And interviews this afternoon. The Kennedys are in South Florida. They have a show coming up Thursday night in Broward County. But right now in the studio, Ayog and Christine of Four Shillings Short. And welcome back.
Hey, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is so great.
Well, the troubadours of old and the bards, they used to go town to town spreading the news
That's right.
of what's happening.
We spread all the gossip.
Yeah. Bad jokes, gossip,
bad jokes and gossip.
Old songs.
So we heard you the other day, or last week, mention Robert Burns, the Bard of Scotland. And we did a night in Kentucky, in Louisville, Kentucky, where it was Burns night. Mm-hmm. And we took out all our Burns pieces and worked up a few new ones. And this next piece is one of our new ones.
Our new pieces.
4 Shillings Short.
Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim, your doctrines I must blame. You shall hear, you shall hear. Your doctrines I must blame, you shall hear.
What is right and what is wrong? By the law, by the law. What is right and what is wrong? By the law. What is right and what is wrong? A short sword and a long, a weak arm and a strong. For to draw, for to draw. The weak arm and the strong, for to draw.
Heroic strife,
Famed afar, famed afar. What makes heroic strife? Famed afar. What makes heroic strife? To whet the assassin's knife, or hunt a parent's life with bloody war, bloody war. Or hunt a parent's life with bloody war. Then let your schemes alone in the state, in the state. Oh, let your schemes alone in the state. Then let your schemes alone adore the rising sun, and leave a man undone to his fate, to his fate. Then leave a man undone to his fate. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, lend an ear. Ye Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim, your doctrines I must blame. You shall hear, you shall hear. Your doctrines I must blame, you shall hear. Ye Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim, your doctrines I must blame. You shall hear, you shall hear, your doctrines I must blame, you shall hear.
Four Shillings Short, live in the WLRN studio. Well, that was quite a political song you
Oh,
wrote.
it is.
That caused quite a stir, huh? With,
Yeah. Well, back in those days, so King James was ousted from his throne. This is going back into the late 1600s.
Yes.
And the people who supported him, a lot of them were the very wealthy, and there were people and he was quite corrupt. So he was a corrupt leader backed by a bunch of very wealthy people.
King James of Britain.
Of Britain.
Yes.
Yes. And so, but he was a Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Catholic, and the Reformation had happened, and Protestantism had come in. And so now the King of England at that time, was going to be Protestant, and he was ousted because everything had changed religiously. The religious, forces.
So he was backed by a lot of well-moneyed, pursed people.
Robert Burns was.
No.
Oh, the
King
King James.
And Jacob is the Hebrew for James. So the people
Oh,
who
those are
backed him in the
Jacobites.
Jacobite rebellion,
Jacobites.
they were
Okay.
the Jacobites. And the Jacobite rebellion was financed and was, a rebellion against the crown at the time.
So did Robert Burns, he being
Well,
very...
he was born later. He was born
Oh,
later.
this was a historic-
This is
I
an
see.
earlier historic song.
He rewrote the song to reflect what he thought about the whole corruption of politics.
And, the last line, then let your schemes alone, adore the rising sun, and leave a man undone, who he was referring to King James, to his fate.
there was a huge support for the Jacobites in Ireland.
In Ireland as well.
Because,
okay.
Because
and that's
King
what
James was
led,
Catholic.
and that's what led eventually to the eventual mess in Northern Ireland.
Yep.
Where the Scottish plantations happened there and all this.
Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh, okay.
So
Yeah.
we don't need to go into a big history.
But we love to bring out history. I mean, that's a big part of what we do as bards, is fill in the historical references and also teach people about the history of Ireland or Scotland or England or...
So do you both feel a connection to Robert Burns?
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, one of the songs we recorded, not on this album, but a previous one, was called The Slave's Lament, or Senegal. And that he had written a lot of poems, but couldn't make a living. So he was going to go off to the West Indies as a supervisor on a slave plantation. And his book of poetry became popular and started selling, so he didn't have to go to the West Indies.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so he wrote this song from the standpoint of a woman who had been captured in Senegal and ended up in Virginia. And we've played that song. I mean, we recorded it with a beautiful Bach piece in A minor on the cello. It's gorgeous. And so anyway, but we love his repertoire because he is very political. Even though he was born in 1759, he died at the age of 37. He, was a prolific poet and songwriter, and he still to this day is revered by the Scots as the Bard of Scotland.
We celebrate his birthday every year, the Scots
January
from
the
all
25th.
over the world.
That's
yeah.
right.
25th.
And it's interesting, 10 years after his death, a bunch of his friends came together to celebrate him, and from that time onwards, Burns Night has happened on his birthday.
Really? Sure. And
so
the
it's just
celebration of the
amazing.
haggis and
the
the
ode to
a mouse.
Ode to the haggis.
Haggis.
Yeah.
So,
it's gorgeous.
so we have another celebration of an historical figure.
Yes. So this is a piece that we developed while we were in Ireland,
Okay.
based on another historic figure, the Pirate Queen of Ireland, Grace O'Malley.
Oh, I never heard of her.
Yeah, so Grace O'Malley, really now,
You
Michael,
never heard
I'm
of her.
sure you have. Everybody's heard